On the 15th of April 1912, the unsinkable RMS Titanic hit an iceberg on its maiden voyage. Mysteriously, the ship only had enough lifeboats to hold half of its passengers, and officers had not been trained to deal with an emergency. Within 3 hours, Titanic had sank. Among the 1,500 people killed in the incident were 3 of the world's richest and most powerful men. These men were allegedly united in their passionate opposition to the creation of the Federal Reserve. 1 year after Titanic sank, the Federal Reserve was established. Steve Stars believes this tragedy was actually organized mass murder, engineered by an international league of financiers to take out obstacles to their world domination. Stars says the Federal Reserve was then as it is now, an elite institution controlled by a secretive and mysterious cabal of the world's most powerful men. The Federal Reserve is the central banking system of the United States. Officially, it promotes American economic growth and general well-being by controlling interest rates, but it has long been suspected of serving other purposes. Despite its role supporting the US banking system, it is effectively an independent entity with autonomy over the policies it enacts. Some believe this gives its directors the power to boom and bust the American economy at their will. This is all the more worrying because of whom these individuals are purported to be. According to Preston James, for almost 100 years there has been a secret ruling cabal of banksters and industrialists from the City of London financial district that has been running the United States government and setting the policies of America, which are based on big lies and major deceptions. James claims that whilst controlling the Federal Reserve, this sinister group has spent many billions of hard-earned American dollars which they have confiscated through a crooked tax system to pay talking head major mass media newscasters to limit what you can know. The Reserve comprises 12 banks spread throughout the United States, and a board of 12 governors who are appointed by the President and Congress. Preston James says the Reserve gives shareholders opportunities to maximize their own wealth whilst charging Americans interest on their own personal savings and income. As they are subject to their own rules, they can manipulate markets to ensure they get the best deals at the expense of others. James warns that this illegal central banking has allowed the ruling cabal to steal Americans' hard-earned income and asset strip the wealth of everyday citizens as well as America the Republic. Authors Eustace Mullins and Gary Carr claim that over 50% of the Reserve's shares are owned by companies outside the United States. Mullins says this gives foreign agents the power to control the US economy. As the Federal Reserve prints and circulates money, its mysterious owners can manipulate mortgage payments, insurance rates, and the opportunity to boom and bust. But this is not the most remarkable aspect of Mullins' theory. He also believes that the federal bank is puppeteered by the Illuminati, a secret elite whose ultimate goal is to introduce a new world order, in which its members rule the world through an authoritarian global regime. Yet, Preston James claims this is just one part of an insidious financial conspiracy. James believes the Internal Revenue Service exists to prop up the Reserve's illegal activities. Its official role as the government's tax collection and tax law enforcement body is a ruse. According to James, the IRS abuses its privilege to steal the taxpayers' money by use of brute power, a hijacked and compromised justice system, and a brutal police state-style boot-in-your-face power. He argues it is useful because it organizes citizens into a single unit controlled by its regulations. As an arm of government, the IRS has access to all financial records and the power to seize people's assets at will. This suggests that the cabal has created the institutional pillars of the US financial system to manipulate innocent citizens without their knowledge. However, none of these claims have been substantiated. There is no proof that the Illuminati is real beyond its brief existence in the late 18th century. The works of both Eustace Mullins and Gary Carr have been widely discredited. They are anti-Semitic conspiracy theorists who also claim that Jews kidnapped Christian children to suck their blood. But more importantly, the authority of the Federal Reserve ultimately comes from Congress. Its board is confirmed by the Senate and the President. Therefore, it does not really have free rein to play with the US economy, as it is, theoretically at least, controlled by the executive branch. The Reserve's shares are also not structured like those of a private entity. None of the 12 shareholding banks can profit from the Reserve, and net profit is invested back into the American Treasury. There are over 8,000 banks in America, and almost 40% of these have membership to the Fed's system, meaning they elect the board. This shows that ownership of the Reserve is far less exclusive or secretive than conspiracy theorists believe. The truth may be, as journalist Cullen Roach says, it is better to think of the Fed as a public-private hybrid and not really being owned by anyone. Its unique structure has led to claims it is run by a devilish band of elites. However, this is unlikely to be the case. No one entity controls the Federal Reserve, and therefore no one entity controls the fate of the American economy.